Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're just going to give it a few minutes for people to join in. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but my 9-month-old is currently giving her father a very hard time, but all right. We're still watching these numbers go up, so we're going to give it another minute or so and we will start. All right, it looks like our numbers are pretty stable now. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the parent webinar for the class of 2023. I cannot even imagine what each and every one of you is feeling right now. Your students are about to graduate high school in about a month. That has to be extremely exciting and extremely terrifying all at the same time. So I'm hoping that in the next hour, we will give you enough information where you will be slightly less terrified about everything that's supposed to happen. Just so that you know, we have a whole host of wonderful people here, from admin team to our PTSO to our wonderful parent who will be running Southwest, to our advisors for the senior class. So we have a lot of information to throw at you. Know that at any point, if you have a question, the chat is disabled. You are welcome to put it in the Q&A section, knowing that once we go through this entire slideshow with you, that hopefully all of those questions do get answered. If for some reason they're not, always reach out to your child's dean, counselor. Our head of counseling is here as well. Any other adult support system that we have in the building. And I just realized I did not introduce myself. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Strauss. I am the principal of Newton South High School. I'm extremely, extremely happy and excited to see so many of you here. And I am now going to hand it over to my wonderful vice principal, Mr. Williams.
Hi, everyone. Jason Williams, vice principal here at Newton South. And this is the agenda that we're going to be following for this evening, just so you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So we're doing our welcome here. The PTSO will have a chance to speak about Southfest and a number of other things. So that's run by Michelle Wetlaufer and Will Adams. We will talk about senior class activities with our senior class advisors, Kathy Sabet and PJ Quern. We'll talk about safety in the community. We'll talk about some senior obligations, and we will close with a preparing to launch segment with our head of guidance, Dan Rubin. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to, I believe, the senior class advisors who will talk about senior prom.
Yeah, hey everyone, my name is PJ Jordan Quern. I'm one of two class advisors for the senior class. We just wanted to, sorry, Kathy's going to introduce herself next, but we just wanted to give you a quick rundown here. For senior prom, if you haven't heard yet, final day of ticket sales is tomorrow, but we're hosting it at the Fairmount Copley Plaza on Tuesday, June 6th from 7 to 11. Some important information for the parents to know about and family members is students and guests must bring a photo ID to attend, and that's just to make sure that we have the right people showing up. We took a lot of guest information from your students in regards to who they're bringing to prom if they're outside of Newton South High School. We are offering up one bus this year, so students can opt to take a bus that will leave from Newton South High School at 6:20 p.m., get dropped off at the venue, take public transportation, or park at the venue. The price for parking this year is $40, and that's because they have valet service. Our class officers, the senior class officers, we have 6 of them, they've offered up some other cheaper alternatives if students decide to drive in with your permission, using Park Hero, I believe it is, or Spot Hero, and that's an app, and they can find a cheaper option if they choose to drive in. But as always, if you want to take the bus, it will leave from South at 6:20 p.m. You must be on the bus list before you try to get on the bus. If it's like a last minute thing, we're not going to take any last minute guests on the bus. It's just a little too hectic for the chaperones that will be riding the bus with the students. If a student takes the bus to the venue, they have to take the bus out of the venue. There's no last minute changes there, and that's like a very firm decision from us in administration. Students who arrive under the influence of any type of substance, whether it's prescription medication that's not prescribed to them, marijuana use, THC products, or alcohol, they will not be allowed to attend the event, and we will contact the emergency contact for a plan to get them home. Next slide, Jason. And here's our brief itinerary, and I'm going to let Ms. Sabet fill in the blanks here.
Thank you, PJ. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kathy Sabet, one of the co-advisors for your seniors. And so just kind of a rundown of what that evening is going to look like. If the students are taking our bus, then it's going to arrive anywhere between 6:15 with the plan of leaving in the breezeway area of the school around 6:20. The bus will arrive at 7. That's kind of the ideal time to show up if you're obviously taking the bus or if you're arriving on your own. From 7 to 11, we are going to have a great time with dinner, dancing, and lots of fun. At 11 o'clock is the end of prom, and the bus will leave and students will depart. And we expect arrival for students that did take the bus at around 11:30 that evening. So we are really looking forward to it, and just make sure they get their tickets, because we're not doing, by demand, we're going to extend it. We can't. So tomorrow is our last day to sell tickets. Oh, and let me turn it over to Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Michelle Wetlaufer, PTSO co-president. I can't believe that I started this journey 13 years ago with a bunch of you, and now we're talking. I'm gonna cry. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. Dan, I'm gonna need a conference call after this. Okay. So just to start with Southfest, it is free to all the students and their dates. The cost to the PTSO is about $50 per student. So we're going to be asking for donations soon. The reason we haven't started that process is because the state of Massachusetts has a grant program that we have applied for to hopefully subsidize some of those costs. So when you hear us ask for donations, if you could step right up and help us fund this, it's a really, really fun night. Senior parents going to be asked to clean up and set up. So please raise your hand to volunteer for that. You guys have been so incredible. You've always been there with money and physical support and always volunteering. I appreciate it so much. It's bittersweet to end this journey. So I'm going to hand it over to Melissa while I go have a breakdown. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Wiley, and I'm the parent of Senior Griffin. And I'm going to just reiterate a couple points about Southfest. I'm coordinating this event. I'm on a committee that's helping coordinate this event. Next slide, please. If you haven't done this drill before, Southfest is a really extravagant after prom party that is sponsored by the PTSO, hosted at South by parent volunteers. Like Michelle said, it's free for all seniors and their guests, and regardless of whether they attend prom or not. So we hope to have all our seniors there to make some great memories on that night. After they return to South after the prom, the doors of Southfest open at 11:30 p.m. and the event runs for 3 hours. It includes a casino, a food truck. This year it's Roxy's Grilled Cheese, which was a big hit last year. There are games, prizes, fun, music. It's really going to be a great time. At 2:30, the event ends, and all students need to have a ride home at that time. So there is no transportation option. You are the transportation option, or they are. We recommend that students wear or bring comfortable clothes to Southfest. So there will be some games, they'll be getting physical. They can change and come to the party, or they can change at the event. But we will bag their prom attire and sort of check it at the door. So they are not allowed to bring anything into the event itself. That's just for safety reasons. Next slide, please. This event needs a lot of people to pull it off. And here's how you can help. So we will be sending out links after this meeting to set up and clean up. So those happen at different times, knowing that people have different availability. So you could be on an afternoon time to set up the venue. You could be in an evening time slot to do decorations, or you could be in the midnight hours, sort of 2 to 3:30 a.m. to clean up and get the venue ready for the school day the next day. So we need people in all of those time slots. There are some specific food items that we will request, and those will be in the link, and that's another way you can help. As Michelle already said, you can make a cash donation and help defray the cost of the vendors, the food truck, etc. And finally, you could either donate or solicit gift cards that we can use as prizes. So some ideas would be Tango Mango, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, things that the kids like and would want to pick at a prize table for winning something at the event. For questions or to donate gift cards, please contact Teresa Fitzpatrick at the email here or via that cell phone number. And thank you again for considering to help. I don't take this event for granted. My first child, his prom and graduation was shut down due to COVID. So I'm really excited that Griffin and his classmates have this opportunity. Thanks.
I'm up. Hi, I'm Brian Dulesky. I'm a clinical social worker at South. The title is kind of long. I'm also responsible for all the intervention and prevention methods, anything related to substances, but also healthy choices. So I'll probably be the quickest here. First of all, congratulations. I'm sure that a lot of worry and work and hope have gone into the past 12 years. So congratulations to all of you. And we just want to get there safely. Just to remind guardians and loved ones that we do breathalyze at the prom before entrance. They'll also go through bags that students will bring just to make sure that everyone is safe. Historically, our students, your kids make very, very good choices 99% of the time. In the past 10 years, there's been a couple of events where kids were found to be under the influence, and the result is they couldn't walk a graduation. And when that happens, we're hugging students and parents, and there's tears, and it's really unfortunate because they have earned this. They've worked hard. This is a very special moment, and we want to keep it that way. And like I said, almost always these kids are making great choices, and we just want to continue that. So this is for their safety. And any questions, you can always reach me at Newton South, 617-559-6577. Lastly, Officer Colella is going to talk to you about safety in the community, specifically something that's going on right now, Assassins, which is it's played with very innocent intent, but sometimes it does create some concerns and even a little chaos in the community. So we just want to make sure, again, kids make good choices and they don't get in trouble and they get to have that special moment with you guys and move on with their journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Just to introduce myself, everybody, my name is Matt Colella. I'm a Newton police officer, specifically the youth officer assigned to Newton South High School. And just to add on to what Brian was saying, all of the kids, this is a fun time of year for them. They have a lot of activities going on that they're going to enjoy and on. But specifically with the Assassins game, I just want to reiterate, and I've spoken to some of the organizers of the game, that while it's intended, we all want them to have fun and be safe. I just want to tell the parents to have a conversation with their kids to help make them as safe as possible, if they choose to play this game. Such things as, the water guns that they have, make sure that they're like bright colors and have the orange tips and that they don't look like real guns. I know that some of the kids like to go out at night and play the game at night. And if they're going to do that, I encourage them, and I hope that you can speak to them too about going onto people's property and hiding in bushes and going into people's yards, that sort of thing. Because while, you know, they have their own community playing the game, but nobody else realizes that it's just a game that they're playing. And sometimes people in the community get nervous, they call the police, and then the police respond without knowing, you know, exactly what's going on. We just don't want to see any unfortunate encounters, and we just want to keep the kids safe. So thank you.
All right, so I will take it from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Banks. I am one of the deans, the dean of Goldrick House. Just a couple of things that I will add on. So first and foremost, to Miss Sabette, who has been now the senior class advisor, or the class of 2023 advisor with me, both for the class of 2023 and for the class of 2019. Thank you so much. So she's done it twice and she's saying, I am good. So I just wanted to say thank you. And PJ also has to go for the night. So if you have any other questions, the deans will sort of take that on. But I want to thank Miss Sabette and PJ for that. And then for Mr. Dulesky and Officer Colella, you are more than welcome to stay, but I also know that you have things. And so the deans will answer any questions that you might have. But thank you both. And the last thing I will add on that is the Assassin game is not sponsored by Newton South. The deans want to make that clear that we do not condone this game. We talk to the seniors about how they really should not participate, but year after year they do. So I just want to echo Officer Colella's sentiments about please talk to your student about if they do decide, if they are part of this game, please be careful. We deal with things as deans as a result, and you know, I get that kids are doing teenage things, but sometimes they put themselves in a position that really starts to interfere with school. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So with that being said, academic obligations. So as we end senior year, I'm often poked fun at by the admin team because I'm always counting down. So just in case anyone's wondering, seniors have 17 days left. And so in these last 17 days of school, there are a few things they need to think about as we work our way towards Wednesday, May 31st. So that will be the last day of formal classes for seniors. And so hopefully they will get all of their work in, though technically the last day for seniors is June 2nd. So what's going to happen is on the 31st, they will finish up their classes. On Thursday, June 1st, any seniors that owe any final tests or projects or assessments for their teachers, they're more than welcome to come back to the building. But if they have everything in, then Thursday, June 1st, they do not need to come to Newton South unless they want to come say hi to their deans and reminisce on their last 4 years. And then on Friday, June 2nd, that is when we will be doing senior checkout. And on the next slide, when we get there, we'll talk about all the things that they're going to be checking out. But on the 2nd, they'll do senior checkout, followed by graduation rehearsal, followed by a senior luncheon, if you will, barbecue, gathering with food, whatever word you want to put in there. And then finally, the senior countdown, which is a tradition every year where the seniors go out to the baseball field. And so for the last 15 minutes from 3:30 to 3:45, they're out on the baseball field signing yearbooks, and we do a countdown to the final bell of their senior year at Newton South. It's a wonderful tradition. The students have a ton of fun. And so I always look forward to that senior countdown. Also, all students are required to do 4 years of English, and as part of their English requirement, the senior English teachers assign some sort of final paper. So different English teachers do it differently. When I taught senior English, I would do sort of like letters to former people that you that really inspired you or had an impact on your life. So just have your student check with their senior English teacher what that final senior English project is. And then finally, for those of you who have students with wellness in this last term, wellness is also a state graduation requirement. You must take it every year. So please, please, please make sure that your child is doing everything that they need to do in order to pass. And that includes the attendance standard. It has been, this is our pilot year of the attendance standard, but everyone has been doing such a great job with attendance. I know there was a lot of concern and a little anxiety about the attendance standard, but the seniors have been nailing it, just knocking it out of the park, getting to class, doing what they need to do. If there are any concerns about attendance, guidance counselors and deans will be reaching out to you. We've asked teachers, especially progress reports are due next week, so to really keep an eye on the attendance. And the deans do have ways to mitigate any factors if a student is headed towards a no for the attendance standard in terms of making up that time. So we do have Saturday schools that are run by Mr. Dulesky. We have Dean's Wins, and then also that Thursday, June 1st day, we can use that as time to make up should they owe time based on the attendance standard. So it will not come as a surprise. So if you've not heard from us, no news is good news. All right, next slide, Mr. Williams. All right, so the obligations. So as we end the year, I know the House secretaries are talking to the seniors when they come into the office. Johnny, you owe this book. Don't forget this Chromebook. So any books that you might have have your senior clean their room. Find any books that they might have, please bring it to the House office. They can drop those off. Books from this year, though, they can return to their teacher, and then their teacher will scan them in. And then any uniforms that they might have maybe collected over the years, certainly we want to return those to athletics. And then any fees. So there could be different fees for books, for Chromebooks, for anything along those lines. So House secretaries are reaching out to seniors to let them know if there's anything that they owe in terms of fees. And then finally, a requirement of the checkout process is the graduation survey. This year, we're trying something a little different. So we're asking seniors, instead of filling it out at senior checkout, we're asking them to fill it out before senior checkout. So Miss Sabette has sent out multiple messages to the seniors to please log into Naviance and fill out the survey. I have asked all advisory teachers to remind seniors in advisory to do the survey in advisory. And so we will keep pushing out that message. We will have an opportunity for seniors to fill out the Naviance survey at graduation, at checkout. But their experience will be a much smoother one if they get it done before checkout. So if you can just remind your child of that, that would be fantastic. And I think those are my 2 slides. Next is you, Mr. Williams.
Yes, indeed. And I want to just take a quick commercial break just to point out that the graduation FAQ will have all of this updated information that we're talking about as we get closer to senior checkout and eventually to graduation. So every time a new update comes into this, I'll resend the entire newsletter with whatever update was here. So for example, either like last week, I sent this reminder about this presentation that all of you are at right now, and a recording of this presentation will also be going into this as well. So that way you folks can have access to all of this stuff and continue to watch this video as many times as you need to. So just keep in mind that this information is always here. It's always in every weekly update as well. And if you have any questions about this type of stuff, definitely reach out to me and let me know. But with that commercial break over, I am here to talk to you about Chromebooks. So for Chromebooks, we will have a station at senior checkout to return Chromebooks, but we really do strongly recommend that you return these in as early as possible. Of course, some students are still going to be using their Chromebook for their academic classes, and if they are using it for their classes, they should of course hold on to them until senior checkout. But if you have a student who happens to not be using their Chromebook anymore and it's just sitting on a table or just sitting somewhere at the house, we would recommend that you do return that sooner rather than later. There's going to be a few other opportunities at during line block for students to return them. One was on Tuesday during the line block, and there's going to be another one on May 16th, May 23rd, and May 30th. And additionally, depending on the tech office's availability, students can also go to the tech office in 9140 to also return their Chromebook. When students return their Chromebooks, they need to make sure they return the Chromebook, of course, and then also its power cord. And the power cord's name is down here, the Lenovo 300E, blah, 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 Google be Duke. But then also just keep in mind that you want to make sure that those Chromebooks are checked for basic functionality and damage upon return. So once we, I don't think the closed caption got the Google be Duke part right down very well. It's a lot of blahs in there. It's really weird. But anyway, in the Chromebook return piece of the FAQ, there's a schedule of feeds if the Chromebook is damaged, so you can definitely review this piece. We didn't want to fit it in the slide though, but just be aware that that's also there. So long story short, if the Chromebook is still being used for classes, hold on to it until classes are over, of course. If you know that you're not using your Chromebook anymore, then here are the opportunities to return them. And from our experience last year, this was one of the longest parts of checkout, especially in the second half of checkout. So the more of us that can get these in earlier, if we know we're no longer using them, the better, just so we can get those back and repurpose those for MCAS, other purposes, and so on and so forth. And I guess I'll say next slide to myself now.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining with us this evening. Charlie Mayette, the Goodwin House Dean. I'm going to speak a little bit specifically to some things about graduation from the next few slides. So graduation speaker trials. Every year, a member of the senior class addresses the class and families and guests. If your student wishes to be considered for graduation speaker, that event will be held on Thursday, May 25th. It's during Win 2 block. It occurs in the lecture hall next to the library. And signups are on the English office door. That is 2305, top floor of Wheeler House. Mr. Williams. Yearbooks. If you have purchased a yearbook in advance, distribution will be on Tuesday, May 30th through Thursday, June 1. Tuesdays for seniors, Wednesday and Thursday for all other students. They'll be distributed all 3 lunches in the library. For those who have not purchased a book and would like one, yearbooks will also be on sale during all distribution times and at senior checkout for $100 while supplies last. Cash or check made out to Newton South. Next slide, Mr. Williams. Graduation cap and gowns. All students must wear a cap and gown. There are, if you've had other children who have graduated and they still have the gown, then they can purchase a cap and a tassel for the class of 2023. Miss Stonehill, who is one of the senior graduation chairs, you should see her for that. And her email is there below and such. If you need to have a full gown, if you need to have the gown and the cap and the tassel, that also can be on. Sometimes people just order the tassel. Next slide, please. Okay. Decorating at graduation caps. It's been a tradition now for the last few years that graduation caps can be decorated with certain guidelines. If Mr. Williams, you would open up that menu, some of the decoration options, you have a college or a military branch logo or name, a family friend or picture, class of 2023, class of 2027. Thanks, mom, dad, guardian, other family member, country, or LGBTQIA, and flag. Newton South Club, organization or team name, and then you can go through any one of the quotes down below. And these are also available, I believe, on the FAQ. If you have a different idea, if your student has a different idea, they should see their dean and we'll work out with them. This has been a wonderful change to how we've done this the last 3 years, and it's just a wonderful evening to see all the different things that your students would like to be to say a shout out to or be recognized for. However, if you arrive with an inappropriate cap or something that doesn't meet this standard, you will walk without a cap your student will walk without a cap, or they may not walk at all. So I'm going to go over actually, believe it or not, we have some minimal standards for clothing and things like that that are on underneath. But I would hope in this case, they have to have cap, gown, and a what would be an approved or meeting the standard decoration of the cap. Next slide, please. The graduation dress, shoes, no bare feet. We say shoes, I mean, are you wearing sneakers? Okay, that's all right with you as parent or caregiver. Sandals, fine, and such, but no bare feet. That's something we've never had, and it's also something that they're meeting the health standards for the city of Newton and the Newton Public Schools. Clothing, the cap and gown are required for all graduates. Gowns are somewhat sheer. So please keep this in mind as you choose the attire that is under your gown. So the idea that as light from different sources in the building, or as the students walk from outside into the field house, or as they're exiting, just keep in mind when that sun's out there, it does create a see-through look. So it's very important that everybody think about that as they choose something to wear. Next slide. Okay, at this time, I'm going to hand this over to my distinguished colleague, Ms. Josepha Blocker.
Hi, everybody. This is Josepha Blocker speaking, Dean of Cutler House. I'm just going to run through some of the end of the year, last day for senior activities, so that you have a sense of what it will look like for your senior on that last day. All seniors are required to do checkout, as we spoke about. There's a number of activities that are required around the checkout. When they get there, it is sort of an open time between 10:30 and 1 o'clock in Gym B. When that happens, they will see sort of a set of tables that are all around, and they'll be guided from place to place to make sure that they have all their obligations done. If you believe that your senior may have books that they owe or other things, they aren't sure what they owe, I would recommend strongly that they show up on the early end of that. The later you get, the longer the lines get, believe it or not. And if they do, by chance need time to go home and come back to do some of the checkout activities, it would be good if they got there at the beginning. After checkout is done around 1 p.m., we will close down the checkout process in Gym B, and all of the seniors will proceed across the hall to graduation rehearsal. Rehearsal is mandatory. We'll go about the process of figuring out how to line up the 500 graduates to make sure that everybody gets the right diploma. That is sort of their final task. Do they know their alphabet well enough to do this? And we definitely need that time. So if by chance your senior is not going to be coming to graduation rehearsal, that should only be for an absolute emergency. If that would happen, please let their dean know, because we will need to account for them and make sure that we are planning for their graduation seat, etc. That will take a little bit over an hour. And then, as Dr. Banks mentioned, they will go to the senior lunch and yearbook signing. We hope everybody stays for those activities, and then to the countdown, which is awesome and lots of fun. Next slide, please. All right, so at checkout, they have to be done with all their obligations, meaning everything else has to be in order to get their cap and gown and tickets for graduation. So please, again, if you think your child may not have everything they need to hand it in, make sure they come on the early end so that they don't end up leaving Newton South that Friday without their cap and gown or tickets. We already talked through the survey, the Chromebook return. They will also get their cumulative folder at that point, which is also very fun for kids to see. Sometimes it's got their kindergarten report card and registration for school. So they get to pick all that stuff up as well with their graduation tickets. It will be their final chance to do the form to record their name for graduation. They can do that now as well. If they haven't, it definitely is easier and better to do in a quiet environment at home than trying to do it at checkout where it's loud and everybody is around. That recording is super important because that is what the graduation name readers listen to make sure that your graduate's name is spoken exactly how they would like it spoken. So that form is super important. It has also been sent out in advisories, and the kids have had multiple opportunities to access it. But just one more thing to just remind your senior, hey, have you done that name recording? Because that's an important one. Everyone wants to make sure their name is read proudly and exactly as they would like it at graduation. Next slide, please. All right, so the actual big day at graduation. The actual ceremony will begin on Thursday, June 9th at 5 p.m. It's indoors. We're going to do it in the field house. It will be live streamed for family members that won't be in person, or for other family friends, etc. The graduates themselves must get to Newton South no later than 4 p.m. Okay, so graduates here at 4 p.m. The ceremony begins at 5. Brandeis Road will become one way going from the Parker Street sign. Oh my goodness, did we forget to edit this? It's June 8th.
It
not
is
9th.
June 8th. Yeah.
June 8th. Oh,
Yep.
we're gonna have to do a little edit there, a little quick edit. June 8th.
June 8th, Thursday, June 8th.
Thursday, June 8th, 5 p.m. Okay. Brandeis Road is going to become one way from the Parker Street side into Newton South on that day, to facilitate traffic going as smoothly as possible towards graduation. Likewise, at the end of the ceremony, it will begin to go one way out of Newton South. When you are prepping for that evening and trying to work out the logistics for your family, please know, as you might anticipate, that the closer we get to that graduation time, the more backed up traffic can be. We do close the doors to the field house at 4:50 promptly, and we do not open them again until 5:10 to allow for the procession of the faculty and the graduates. So I mention that just because sometimes people are sort of racing that line towards those final seconds to get into the field house, and we don't want anybody sort of standing outside missing that all important sort of processional into the graduation ceremony. All right, next slide, please. All right, so graduation tickets. Your graduate gets 6 tickets. They will get those tickets at the graduation checkout. After they've been checked off for everything else, that is the final item they receive. They will then hand those tickets to their the guests that they would like to hand them to, and family members, family friends, etc. On the actual printed ticket this year, there was a small error where it says that it is outdoors. It is in the field house. That is an error. It is actually in the field house. Okay, so don't look at the printed part. It's in the field house. If your graduate gets home and does not need all 6 of those tickets, please, please, please return them to the house office. The house office then collects those tickets back. And if you are a family that needs more than 6 tickets, then we will start the process of that week calling families who have requested extra tickets to give them out. We only have sort of enough seats in the field house to accommodate everybody having 6 seats. So the process of gathering the tickets back and then giving them back out again is how we make sure that we are ensuring that we're allowing for enough space for everybody we're inviting. If you need extra tickets, what you should do is call your house secretary. They will put your name on a list with a phone number. You get a call that week of graduation. It's a first come, first serve process. So as we get tickets back, the house secretary will call folks and say, okay, I've got 3 back. I can give them to you now if your name is on the list for 3. There is no guarantee. It is a first come, first served process. But we do, I've been doing this for a while. I've been through 15 graduations at Newton South. This will be my 15th. And I cannot recall a situation where people did not get their guests in. That having been said, it is a process, and it will be a process that takes place right before graduation. Parking is also very limited. We only have about 400 parking spaces on campus. Possibly a few, maybe a little bit above that. All of our faculty move their cars to the middle schools to make room for graduation, which is why we only give 1 car per graduate. And we would really recommend strongly that you plan for that as well. All right. I will now hand this back to Mr. Mayette, who will talk about driving and traffic.
Thank you, Ms. Blocker. So if you'll take a look at this graduation traffic pattern slide, coming down Brandeis Road from Parker Street, Hagen Road, Meadow, I think it's not Meadowbrook, I can't think of that name, but Hagen Road in, it is one way. And it will stay that one way, as Dr. Banks had said earlier. And there will be Newton Police will be doing traffic control, and then there will be ramps put up to help with that traffic flow all the way down to Greenwood. So when you come in, please come in on Parker Street into by Hagen Road, come up Brandeis Road, and the venue is in the Field House. And you can see that on the next one, we'll show you where the parking is. Hold on one second, but you can see they'll be exiting out Greenwood and then back out to Dedham Street at the end of graduation. Next slide, please. There are the parking areas. So as you come in, parking is as you come down Brandeis, there's that large parking lot that goes all the way out to the towards the circle and the stadium and baseball field. You can park along there. There's a lot that sometimes referred to as the senior lot. There's parking there, parking in front of the school. There's a parking lot in the upper Brandeis up from the Goodwin House and the Breezeway. And then also in the two parking lots that are near the Field House and the Breezeway. There is no parking on the access road in the back. That will also be secured by the Newton Police, and that's where the Newton Fire and the ambulances, an ambulance are on standby. That's where they'll stage for standby in case of an emergency. Next slide. So the lineup of graduates, this gets a little chaotic, but in terms of memorizing this, so we'll keep trying to blast this out and make sure that seniors know this. That you should arrive at the following locations at 4 o'clock. It gets pretty crowded out there on the streets. The traffic in and the streets in and around the neighborhood gets pretty busy. So please, 4 o'clock, if you're using the one car, maybe bring the student at 4 and then come in yourself. Cutler students will meet first floor 2000s, Goldrick students second floor 3000s, Goodwin students first floor 3000s, the 3000s of the science wing, and the Wheeler students second floor 2000s. There will be many staff members, including the deans and other support people to help with that setup. Next slide. Okay. And the Field House seating arrangements, just to give you a sense of what this like. The Field House transforms into just a magical place that night. I've been here since it opened, and there's a beautiful staging up at the front. You're able to see your student. There's almost like a jumbotron cam that will show that. Seating is in the bleachers. There is seating on both sides. There are seating and bleachers towards the rear, and faculty seating. If you'd like to try to sit where the house that your student is in, you can see that is how it will be set up. It doesn't always work exactly that way, but there is not a bad seat in the house to be able to see graduation, to be able to see your child, your students step up onto the stage to receive their diploma, or to hear any of the student speeches and such like that. So it is a wonderful night, and everybody should fit in. The students, if you see where it says guest seating in the bleachers, that's on each side of that. from the rear doors of the field house. That's where the students will process in from, and it's beautiful. It is a beautiful thing. There's music and everything, and and led in by the deans and the actually the head marshal. Each house has a marshal, and there'll be 5 accompanying marshals. So I just get excited when I hear about this. I think it's a wonderful night. So that's the seating there in the field house.
Great. Thank you, Charlie. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Rubin. I am the guidance department chair. And it's my pleasure just to, on this final slide of the evening, I get to bring us home, talk a little bit about just kind of the emotional experience of preparing your children for whatever comes next. For many of them, that is higher education. Michelle alluded to this earlier, but what seems to have gone by in the blink of an eye for you, that 13 years since your children entered into kindergarten, and maybe they've been in the Newton Public Schools this whole time, or maybe they've transitioned at some point, but it's been a lifetime for your student. And, as that comes to a close and they move on to the uncertainty of what comes next and the idea of having to potentially go off to a new place where they might have very few contacts or people that they know, and they're making new friends, that comes with it some anxiety, along with excitement and maybe some apprehension, maybe even ambivalence. It's really important to honor that full range of emotions that your kids might be feeling, to have honest, authentic conversations with them, maybe about times in your life that you faced uncertainty, that you looked ahead to the challenge and the positive experiences that you had as a result, and maybe some of the lessons that you learned. Your child, your student is really sort of moving closer to adulthood. Many of them already have achieved that age of 18 and are legally adults. But as they take this big step towards independence, your parental role with them may be evolving and changing. And oftentimes I have conversations with parents who feel as though their role is evolving almost into more of a mentoring role. It's a great opportunity to use some time this spring and this summer to have real conversations, with your kids about just anticipating, again, those types of challenges that they might face. One great resource that I just want to make sure people are familiar with is the JED Foundation. The JED Foundation has a terrific website called set2go.org. And it is all about preparing children to transition to life beyond home. So whether your student is going to college next year, or if they're going to be working, they're going to be traveling, doing a gap year, this is a great resource to look through with your student and really together to try to plan for and anticipate some of the new life challenges that this stage of independence will bring them. Additionally, we want to make sure that students are planning ahead as far as what kinds of resources they might need to access in that next setting. And just want to make you aware that the counseling staff will be running transitioning to college or transitioning to post-secondary life groups in our counseling center. And in these groups, one of the activities that we've developed in recent years is a bit of a scavenger hunt. But many of your kids, if they are going on to higher education at this point, they have a pretty good idea of where they're heading to. And, we will work with them to look up how can they find information about how do I access counseling support in my college university setting if I need that? Where are the dining halls and when are they open? What about the gym and other recreational facilities? What are the hours and how can I sort of plan ahead and develop a schedule so that I can have some structure in my day, similar to my high school experience as I transition into this broad independent space that is college for many of our students. Just the last point of note that I want to emphasize, and this is something that Sue Battler, one of our former counselors who has retired, always used to be the voice in my ear saying, make sure you talk to parents about medical power of attorney or healthcare proxy. And we hate to think about the possibility that your child might face a medical emergency where they are incapacitated to make their own decisions. But I just will tell you that there's a lot of good advice out there about between now and whenever it is that your student may be leaving home, to, with them, consider whether you want to complete a medical power of attorney, so that, again, God forbid something happens, that you are not finding yourself trying to get guardianship over your adult child in the midst of a crisis. If you're able to complete either, this healthcare proxy medical power of attorney, it will just give you some peace of mind that in the worst case scenario that something happens where there's a medical emergency, that you are able to make those decisions and be involved in your students' healthcare decisions. But that said, your counselors, your child's counselors are here to answer questions for you. We are with you every step of the way, making sure that things close out well over these next 4 or 5 weeks. And that as you're preparing to make that next transition, that all of your questions are answered, that you're feeling supported, and please reach out at any point in time should you need any assistance with any steps in that process. And with that, I think we're ready to close things out unless there are other questions.
There, a couple people have asked about the estimated end time of graduation. So for those of you who maybe heard, graduation at Newton South was pretty speedy last year. It was about an hour and a half. However, there are some changes in the program this year. So I would say to at least allot for 2 hours, and then remember that there's always kind of trying to get out of graduation with the traffic and things like that. So if you're making plans, give us a little bit of time. I would hate for you to miss anything, but it will be as efficient as it can possibly be, for the interest of all of us there. While it's going to be enjoyable and amazing, hopefully it'll be efficient. Other than that, I believe there was a question on do we have accessible seating for people with disabilities? We absolutely will. Deans, to the students typically just let you know if they need something like that. Is that it? Perfect. So if you have somebody in your family who needs any special seating or anything like that, if your student can just let their dean know, we will make sure that we have space for them. We will make sure it's reserved so there won't be any issues. You can go right to your house and let the house secretary know. We will have a list. So that should be all taken care of. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions. I think we did an all right job answering them as they go. Is there a photographer at graduation? Yes, I'm assuming. Yes.
Yes,
Charlie
Charlie.
Mayette, who's been at Newton South for many, many years, is nodding his head yes. So the answer is yes to that. Any other last minute questions that we can help answer? All right. As always, thank you so much for giving us your time. If you have any other questions, if we can answer anything else for you, please let your child's dean know, counselor, any adult in the building. We will be able to help out. Thank you again. Thank you to all of the panelists, especially to Officer Matt Colella and Brian Dulesky. And am I talking to myself now? I don't know. Oh, I'm still talking to everybody.
Nope,
Hey,
you're still good.
who I forgot to mention in the beginning. Thank you all very much for coming again. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Guys.
Good night.